Good morning, LinkedIn family. It's time for another coffee with Bob. I can't even remember the name of my own show, for God's sakes. And today it's a meet and greet Monday. So I want you all to meet the fantastic Chuck Hester. Chuck and I go way back. We've been friends and connections for a long time. We've traveled together. We've gone to we worked with different companies together where Chuck has helped companies that I've been with on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And he's been a mentor to me. Chuck's been on Coffee Talk before, but that was way in the beginning. Now that we've got more traction and more people watching, I thought this was a great time to introduce you all to Chuck. Chuck, thank you for coming on again. I'm sorry if this is redundant or boring, but I know we can always find useful information from you.
No, yeah, I'm going to take that first part of the recording and save it for when I'm in a bad mood. You over exaggerate, and I greatly appreciate it, Bob, because the feeling's mutual. There's no doubt about it. So I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate how you're paying it forward to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. That's for me. I always say that it only takes one connection to change a life, and I really do believe that. And I really do think that we all should be that connection that changes someone's life at some point or the other.
Absolutely.
So if you're all not following Chuck or you're not connected with Chuck, please do. His posts are always full of gold, and lately your surveys have been amazing and spot on.
Yeah, the polls have been fun. I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Leslie August, about it yesterday. I felt meta yesterday. There's my millennial term, but I did a poll about polls. So I'm having a lot of fun with them. There's good traction on those, and it's a good place to network as well. So I'm pleased with what's going on with those.
So tell the folks watching, Chuck, just what you're up to these days. I mean, I tell everybody you're a LinkedIn guru, but let's hear about a little bit about what you're doing.
It took me for call it 41 years to finally realize I should be doing what I'm doing and loving doing that and loving the people I'm doing it with, which I'm finally getting a chance to do. I did some work with an ad agency, marketing agency in Houston, and that was digital marketing. I'm not a digital marketer guy per se. So I've relit the candle, if you will, and I'm doing marketing communications consulting, emphasis on communications and organic. In my LinkedIn training and my speaking, that's kind of my trademark, but that's just a tip of the iceberg as to what I do. I do a lot of content marketing, branding. I've also kind of drifted into a little bit of business coaching and accountability work with some folks that I'm dealing with, and having a ball doing that as well. So, but the emphasis these days is content marketing and how do you network in what I call the new reality. There's no such thing as a normal, so it's the new reality and where we go. And I've had long conversations with folks on that aspect of, okay, I hate networking. I love that was my latest poll. Hate networking, love networking. Yeah. I have to do it, so I put up with it. And then on top of that is corporations, business owners, and the like who are dealing with a remote workforce, which they've never had to deal with before. Yeah. You and I both know some really good insurance agents and, salespeople and whatever that have been remote forever, and it's nothing new to them. But when you're dealing with folks who, doing everything from logistics to marketing to product development, whatever it may be, and they're on a remote workforce, their supervisors, VPCs, they're struggling somewhat on how to engage them and keep them engaged and really supervise them in such a way that they feel like they're still valued.
Yeah, that is tough. I mean, I know with keeping connected, I'm fortunate. Right before this pandemic hit, we transitioned from an analog phone system to a cloud-based phone system, RingCentral.
Right.
And I think almost probably 45 days later, the pandemic hit, and we had to push it, and everybody's still remote now. But they would not be able to remote work like they do today if not for the fact that we had a phone system that helped support us with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the best example I give is the Progressive commercial that's out, as far as the Zoom call that they do, and they capture everything, all the issues you run into with Zoom calls are captured in that one commercial. Yeah. As far as what's going on with that. So yeah, no, it's the new reality.
It is. It really is. So concept marketing, that's a new one to me. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well,
content marketing. Yeah, that's a little new one. That's a new one to me.
Best way to describe it, and you are old enough to know I'm a journalist by training. I'm a marketer, therefore I'm a content marketer. That's kind of scratching the surface on what that, but basically content marketing is really getting your message out, engaging with your public, and being able to get stories that are told in such a way that a potential customer will consider using you and appreciate your brand. So I'm on because I do this for a living, I'm on LinkedIn on a daily basis with a variety of content that I'm putting out and working with some folks that you and I both know to make sure that we're like commenting and sharing in what we've got going on. But there is a method to the madness, of lack of a better way to put this, and I like to call it the anti-field of dreams. You can put content out, but nobody's going to come unless you promote it, unless you let your folks know, unless you let the, lack of a better way to put this, the LinkedIn algorithm know as well. I was talking to a really good friend of mine yesterday, and she said, I haven't seen any of your content. Are you posting? And then she liked a couple of my posts, and all of a sudden she gets it in her feed.
Yeah.
So, LinkedIn's on my S list at the moment, mainly because they've redesigned the graphics, and they're starting to look at stories, and here we go again. But it's the algorithm is important. And when I work with my LinkedIn one-on-one executive clients on how to use LinkedIn for whatever they're looking to do, one of the things I talk about is the fact that that algorithm is only in LinkedIn. It's not on Google, and it's not, you really need to pay attention to what's going on, similar to the issues that you run into with Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I preach to my internal folks is that test, and test again, because the algorithm changes and often.
Yeah, it truly does. Yeah,
And so,
and sorry, go ahead, Bob, please.
no, you go ahead. This
I was
is
going to
for
say,
you.
and you touched on it. One of the newer areas that I've discovered. And by the way, I always say I'm not an expert. I'm a maven, somebody who has knowledge and gives it to others. And this was proof of that, in that I don't know everything. And I rediscovered or discovered LinkedIn polls a while back, and you mentioned those. The surveys that you see and what goes on with that. But those are some new stuff that's happening. And how do you include engagement, and how are you writing the questions in such a way that they're going to be engaging? Not only that, but also add value to them. So that's a big part of what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the stuff that you post, I've always been a Pay It Forward fan. I've always been part of the Pay It Forward community, in my own way. But it wasn't until I met Chuck that I really got involved and decided that I wanted to live the Pay It Forward lifestyle. And this is a guy that like I said in the beginning, if you're not connected to, if you're not following, you need to, because he embodies the whole Pay It Forward method. And you could tell that by the type of stuff that he posts on LinkedIn. It's like being in a master class every day.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with that too. And I know you had Michael Watkins on the show the other day. He actually ended up going to Oregon and volunteering to work with the Red Cross for the last 2 weeks. And one of the things he mentioned, he said, I live to serve. And that's kind of the bottom line. This is a guy that's homeless and trying to find a job, and takes it upon himself to, volunteer to go to Oregon and work for 2 weeks for folks that were without housing because of the fires and what was happening. So, yeah. I always say that paying it forward is a habit that you have half of. How to give somebody a favor. A lot of times you want to return that favor. The best thing to do is move that forward and pay it to somebody else. So, really simple to do. And yes, you're right. Heartwarming and very, very satisfying.
Awesome. Chuck, thank you so much for joining me again. I really do want to get on a live with you, and we'll dive in really deep into content marketing and pay it forward for a bunch of people. Okay.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Chuck. Take care.
All right. Take care, Bob.